to be fooling you. Can't believe I was fooling you. Is that what you
doing? Nothing? Why not? I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website. Sounds like a cool website. Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it. You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
This easy feeling surrounds you, king. Baby, get by a minute into force. Oh, I didn't notice it's all getting full. But only when got been back, yes, I done got here. I didn't think it.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cannabis and Coffee with me, Tamarijuana. I want to wish you all a happy new year. This is the first show of the year. I guess I better get my poop in a group because it is the first show of 2017. And I hope you all had a terrific holiday and aren't freezing your butts out there. It's like minus 37 here, and my producer tells me it's like snowing like a bugger out in Ontario. So I hope everybody's warm and safe and enjoying your coffee and your I'd like to welcome Bob Cyre with me this morning. He's the founder of Macros in Edmonton. Edmonton and, well, Alberta, as we all know, is kind of a vast land of conservatism that has not been very welcoming to the cannabis community. And Bob and his wife, Jan, had opened Macro about, I think it's 12 years ago now. And we're quietly moving around the city and helping patients and networking throughout. And this past 18 months ago, or I guess about 20 months ago now, the Edmonton City Police crashed through their doors and busted them all. So I'd like to welcome Bob. How are you doing today, Bob?
Oh, not too bad. A few aches and pains right now, but medicating.
Well, that's the best way to get rid of those pains, eh? And how's the weather out there for you guys?
It's about minus 18 with a little bit of a breeze.
So colder than hell because you're up in Stony Plain, Alberta, kind of out in the middle of boonies.
Yeah, if we go anywhere, I'll have to go out and plug the car in for about a half an hour.
Yeah, no kidding. So we were talking, I was just mentioning to everybody that you guys had opened Macros, and what year did you guys get started out there?
We initially started it in about 2003, and we formed a non-profit society, and we basically did it out of our own home to begin with, because there wasn't too many people that were interested when we first started out. But as time went by and word of mouth spread, we expanded in 11 years to over 1,000 members.
Now, you and Jan used to go and do flea markets and that kind of stuff with your hemp, and because you started out kind of just selling hemp products and stuff too, right?
Well, we started the hemp product store as kind of a stepping stone towards giving people better information concerning the plant itself, not just as a medicine and recreation, but its industrial and commercial applications. So we started Imperial Fidelis as a retail outlet, and we went put Macros into the back office for education and so on. We registered both companies with Revenue Canada and had business numbers. We got business license from the city. I asked the city if I needed for a business license for Macros, and they said, no, it's a non-profit, you don't need one. And so we entered the, I guess you'd call it the cannabis market that way. And it served to be a really good thing, because we took the commercial hemp part of it out into the public through farmers markets, where people could see the products available through hemp. And if they had any questions concerning medical, we could invite them into the office for further conversation and education, and it worked really well. We had a really good reception, and the community really enjoyed our presence because we not only helped people over the phone, but right within the community itself, some of the homeless people congregate in that area of town, and we were, buying them coffee, and Colin and Aaron, they handed out, I think, more cigarettes than they smoked themselves to some of the needier people. But it was all part of working compassion in the neighborhood to help to some degree, even if it's just giving a person a cigarette and make them feel better about themselves because somebody cares. That's an improvement of their quality of life.
That's right. And you guys were out there helping so many people. It was just so disturbing when we found out that you guys had been busted, like that, the Edmonton City Police had come in and because honestly, I hadn't had I didn't get my license till 2010, and you guys were one of the very first cards I ever had. I had one out of Montreal, was my first one, and I only held ever 2 dispensary cards, and it was yours and the Montreal Compassion Club out in Montreal. So you guys had helped me for I don't know how many years before, and I know that other of my friends had been, and that's how I found out. It was all word of mouth, right?
Yeah. I think that word of mouth is the key phrase there, because that's one of the things that allowed us to operate for so long before the authorities really decided to do something based on the 3 complaints by a certain individual. But the thing is that we kept a low profile, and we didn't poke at the wasp nest, and we were able to effect a lot better influence in the community for the people that needed the cannabis as medicine, and that was a good thing for us.
And a good thing for many others. So your whole family pretty much, was involved in this in the business too, right? So it affected the whole family when the authorities came in. Yeah.
The whole family were initially charged, and eventually Colin's charges were stayed, and then as time progressed and we got to the date of our preliminary hearing, the charges were fully withdrawn, and just one charge of running an illegal entity was laid against the corporation Imperial Fidelis Limited, hence Hemper Fi, and we have that fine to pay by February 28th, or we lose all of our equipment and so on. So.
Right.
We're really looking forward to getting that paid off and getting our equipment back, because they not only came into our business, but they came into our home here. And even when I informed them that we were protected by Allard, and the police officer responded, we'll make sure we leave you your medicine. When I came back from the hospital after suffering chest pains that evening, they had taken everything. They didn't even leave enough for a joint for me to use, and Janice and I to use as medicine. And we were in excruciating straits that night, because we had nothing other than what the pharmaceutical people provide us. And it works to some degree, but there are some pains that cannabis works on for me, and the pharmaceutical opiate types don't work for me, and without the cannabis, I was almost suicidal because of the diabetic neuropathy.
They really pulled a number on the house too. Like, they destroyed your garden.
They destroyed the garden. They ripped out the lights. They cut the wiring so that You have to get some special wiring and new inspection. The whole grow that we had was inspected by Alberta safety standards, and approved. And we don't know why they went to such an effort to eradicate our grow. I spent a lot of my retirement cash to have this, and they took it away from me, and it's really sad that nobody stepped up to help us, because we have now been told that you only have a year to file civil rights complaints with the civil liberties unions and so on, and you're also limited in your time frame for civil litigation against something like this. And fortunately, because of the stipulation of the fine, we can still get our equipment back. But before, they would not have even added that to us. They would have tried to get the whole ball of wax.
And ironically, they told you didn't need a business license because you were a non-for-profit. And yet they still now turn around saying now you have to have a fine against your business because of. And that's just totally a hypocrisy all in itself, right? I can't, like I said, it's just it's hard for other people to fathom, because I know when you say like nobody stood up, and that's the worst. The saddest part about things is that not just you, but there's been many dispensaries and other places out there that have been under the scrutiny of the authorities in the last little bit, and where we need to help you guys fundraise. Now you guys are having a fundraiser coming up here in the next little bit. So how can people help you, Bob?
They can help by coming out and giving us a good show of support. Also, there will be door prizes and 50-50 draw. There'll be a live entertainment and dancing, and it would be just a really good time for people who were able to avail themselves of the benefits of cannabis being there to help them get educated and acquire a source for their cannabis. We didn't just supply the individuals with the cannabis. We helped them learn how to grow their own, and even find designated growers if they were unable to do it themselves. Our whole purpose was for the patient, and even though we've been criticized sometimes for our prices, those prices reflect a fairly high overhead and costs for source materials, and we apologize for that. But our intent was to be able to help everybody as much as possible within the constraints that we had.
Janice is a registered nurse, a retired registered nurse as well. So her medical background really, also played a huge role in the ability that you guys had to be able to, help people with certain strains and with their, specific afflictions. And that's one thing I commend you guys both for, is because you guys were so hands-on, like from growing to the initial intake to everything, like the overall package was available.
Yeah. And even right now, in our own home for ourselves, Janice and I are still doing little bits of research for ways of applying the cannabis to different ailments, topical salves, suppositories, and their effect, and to various edibles. And this has been really beneficial for both of us, because of the fact that it improves our quality of life to a point where we're able at our age, and with the progression of our various diseases, to be able to function half normally in society, and that's one of the miracles of cannabis in helping people out. I've seen individuals get up out of a wheelchair and go for a walk with just canes, because it helped with their muscular control for their MS, and it's just phenomenal. It was like living out different passages in the Bible with the different healing historically recorded in that document.
There's so many benefits to cannabis, right from the hemp to, all the way up to, what we are using for medicine now, just specifically too, like because of hemp, like back to the fact that you guys were out at the farmers markets and stuff, which is something that a lot of people, see as mainstream that isn't happening, to everybody else. So we're going to quickly take a break here, Bob, and we'll be back here in a few minutes. I'd like to thank my sponsors, 12 High Chicks Magazine, MUM, the Maritime United for Medical Marijuana, Remos Nutrients, MJ Creams, and the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners, and Haley's Rose Foundation. We'll go to a break now with Smoke 2 Joints by Macy Gray.
Following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet, www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
She was living in a single room with 3 other individuals. One of them was a male and the other 2 were females. God only knows what they were up to in there. And furthermore, Susan, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to learn that all 4 of them habitually smokes marijuana cigarettes, reefers that is. I smoke 2 joints in the morning, I smoke 2 joints at night, I smoke 2 joints in the afternoon, it makes me feel alright. I smoke 2 joints in time of peace, and 2 at time of war. I smoke 2 joints before I smoke 2 joints, then I smoke 2 more. Smoke cigarettes till the day she died. Took a big slip of something good to myself, yeah. Smoke 2 cigarettes the day she died. Flicker. Is he here where you ever caught stepping? Hell no. Flicker. Flick.
All right, and we are back with Bob. We were talking during the commercial break about how they're, trying to get back into the community and trying to get their, bearings back going. So just so you guys all know that there will be a fundraiser coming up here in Edmonton. I'm going to get the particulars from Bob, the date and the time and everything. And I know that their families out there working hard, trying to keep the patients out there that we're, supporting them as they've been supporting them, the patients in Edmonton. So if you're in Edmonton and you have any time or any extra cash that you can donate to Macros, they have a huge fine they have to pay. So let's try and help them out. So Bob, we were talking about the fact that you're also a master grower, and you've got a Facebook page, The Brother of Clones, I watch, and I hear that you can, produce some pretty nice plants out there.
It's growing cannabis can be a lifetime hobby and passion, because it's such a phenomenal plant, and it, depending on the strain and the genetics, have amazingly different effects on the human body and mind. I many times I've called it the intelligent plant, because when I use it, it seems to zero in on the most important source of aggravation and deal with that, and then everything else seems to fall in line like a domino effect for the alleviating the pain levels and muscle spasticity and so on. It's phenomenal, and in the growing, I'm trying to ascertain different ways of understanding how the plant grows under various stressors and various nutritional additives, going organic and dealing with pests and pathogens with natural defense mechanisms, say like powdery mildew, increasing the pH of the leaves of the plant, so that the powdery mildew won't colonize. It's little things like that.
And you guys are hands-on, basically. If somebody comes to you and says, I need help, can you show me how to do this? You guys go right out and help them out with that too, right?
Yeah, I've done that. I've got one fellow that wants to grow and be a designated grower, and I've basically taking him right through from germinating seed to taking clones, monitoring the growth, the adjustment from vegetative state, just running him through the whole gamut of growing, and it's really nice to see somebody that's developing as much of an interest in growing the cannabis like I do. It's also very therapeutic to be able to grow your own medicine. It gives me a sense of purpose, because what I learned from the plant I pass on to others, and if they need to even pass on genetics if those genetics work for them.
I sure miss growing my garden. That's one thing with us moving to BC, that still haven't been able to get everything, kind of lined up with the doctor. I've got another appointment to go in and see my doctor, and it's frustrating because, for so many years, and I imagine you and Jan felt this way too after, trying to get back to the, the equipment, and trying to get back to where you are. And it's disheartening when you can't do it. And it is very therapeutic to the, there's not even any. It's hard to explain when you grow your own cannabis. It's a hobby. It's very, I don't know, surreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives me a focus that I wouldn't otherwise have in the rest of my life. it's like losing. It would be like losing a life partner if I couldn't grow the cannabis because of how good it makes me feel just being in the plants and in amongst all the lights. Because sadly to say, and some people don't agree that this is a real problem, but I suffer from absence of daylight syndrome, and being able to work in my indoor garden in the winter is really good therapy. It's just it removes the depression.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. I don't think they quite understand that the therapy that comes from the lights, because we're getting pure, vitamin D and everything that's coming from the sun. Because a lot of people don't understand that those lights are just basically artificial sunshine. And, there's no hazard to them. It's a great big light bulb. And yes, it throws off that heat, which is sunshine. So you're basically under artificial sunshine. So it's helping that plant grow. It's also helping depression, anxiety. Like I said, there's so many things that I totally believe. I've got other friends that have the fatigue syndrome, that if they don't have, in fact, I have one friend that was actually prescribed UVB ray lights to be actually shined on her for a specific amount of time for the day because of the fact that she suffered from such depression from lack of sunlight. So I totally am on board with that. And I'm sure there are other patients out there that would agree that without their garden and that focus, they would have no reason to get out of bed every day.
Yeah, that's right. And I know a couple of growers personally that's one of the things that it does specifically for them, because one of them's in their 70s and still getting up and doing things, and basically because of the grow. And it helped them beat cancer. So
that's the positivity, right? Like, even with any affliction, if you can stay positive, it makes you want to get moving rather than staying in bed every day. So and there's a lot of veterans out there too that will say the same thing. Like, as soon as the government starts taking away my garden is a minute that I don't want to get up anymore. And their PTSD levels, like that Allard case, really with the people that fell through the cracks, like I said, I keep harping on it, but me being one of them has really affected us over the last 3 years with not having our garden. Financially, my depression levels, everything has totally changed for us. And now with this new clause that, if you've been charged with, you can't have your garden anymore. So I can't even, I guess, grow for myself, is from what the paperwork is basically saying, because I have a conviction for cannabis or in the last 10 years. So now I've got to dig around. Thankfully my husband can designate grow for me, but now it's the simple fact that a location, because we're in a house that has not the power, right? So, and not the space. So yeah, it's detrimental, and I feel for the other patients that are out there that have gone through the same thing, and like I said, with you and Jan and the family having to go through that, like not losing the garden, but that on top of and fighting this case, and I mean the anxiety levels of patients across this country are through the roof, and then with them still screwing around with the ACM PR and not doctors still on the fence about signing, it's just not any better.
Yeah, exactly. It's there are so many people's rights being pushed under the bus for showing that the law enforcement is expedient in enforcing the law, and I really. I don't like that position at all, because I was part of it. I was in front of my house, surrounded by police officers, and the one kept asking me, "Why don't you like us? Why don't you like us?" He was trying to provoke me, and that got my heart rate going up to 168, 170, and I had to request an ambulance, because I was feeling the same way I felt before I went in for open heart surgery in 2011. And this is what they're doing to me, and doing to so many others. And I really do not agree with Mr. Trudeau's position of continuing to enforce the law until he makes it legal. I don't understand that. It seems to be like he's knuckling under to some form of external pressures after being such a gung-ho pro-legalization person in the last election.
Well, it's almost like they're treating us like we're a bunch of little kids. You know, let's come out of the gate saying we're going to legalize. Then we're going to throw it under the bus saying we're protecting the children. And then basically leave patients in limbo with doctors still not signing. And the worst part about it is, I mean, I'm, was one of those people out campaigning for the Liberal Party. And I feel like I want to chew my tongue off because, again, I'm in the same position as you are. I'm not understanding it's not the holdup. I'm not worried about the holdup. I'm not understanding why you still want to persecute prohibition and people for something that is, you're going to legalize anyway. You know what I'm, like in say it's going to take 3 years or whatever. So in those next 3 years, how many people are going to be persecuted, prosecuted, and thrown under the bus because you're not going to change the law yet? It's just flabbergasting. So overall then, like now that the court's over and you guys can breathe for a minute, because it hasn't been that long since the charges have been kind of pushed aside and you guys were, basically looking at trial dates and stuff up through Christmas. And now that it was kind of pushed under, are you finally starting to feel a little bit like you can get, breathe for a minute, Bob?
Yes, there's always that little cloud hanging over the situation. Say, like respect to the condition of paying the fine off. By February 28th, or we lose all of our equipment, everything from the office and everything from the home would be forfeit, and that was close to $50,000 of equipment in my own home that they took without proper provocation, as far as I'm concerned, because. Why, in the end, did they withdraw all the charges completely?
Well, that's a question I'd be asking. You've withdrawn the charges. Why do I have to pay a fine? I'm not like that. That's one thing I didn't understand. They were still fining the business, but dropping the charges. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. They had to try and get cash out of you somehow, I guess, right?
They still had to get their pound of flesh to justify all of the expense.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous.
They needed to have some form of conviction.
So how much is the exact amount of you guys' fine?
$5,000 in fines and $500 each for victim surcharge or whatever that they tack on. So $6,500. I was
going to say victim service charges, and you guys are the victims in this. Like, that is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life.
I'm not too sure that's the name for it, but there is a thing in there where when people pay fines, they put an extra bonus in there, and it goes into a fund for people that have been victimized by certain crimes.
Yeah, I was charged a victim service charge on my possession. I was charged with 4 grams there, no trafficking, right? And I think my victim service charge was $350. And I'm like, but who's the victim? This crime against who? What, you gonna give the money to the bag of pot that you took from me? Like, I just don't understand how they can add a victim service charge to a cannabis charge on top. Like, assault charges, anything like that, I totally agree, 100%. But when it comes to a cannabis charge, who's the victim in that crime?
Yeah.
Just appalling to me. So we're going to go here to, well, I guess we have a few more minutes before we have to go to another break. So we're going to get down to where the fundraiser is being held. I know Melissa is doing a lot of the organizing for this, right?
Yes, she is. She's involved with it. there are a couple people in the background that are helping set it up, and I don't know the place. We don't have a location for the venue yet. It will be on Saturday, January 21st, though, and the venue will be up and on Facebook. Before then, it's kind of like we're trying to run a little bit of security because there are a few naysayers out here that have gone to quite drastic ends to besmirch macros and hinder our progress in dealing with this. So that's why one of the reasons that the location is being held back for probably with less than a week to go. Everybody will know where it's going on though. But don't quote me on that. I'm just making assumptions based on what I've seen.
Okay, we're going to take another quick break here, Bob, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and then we'll get some more particulars on how people can send you monies and get you guys some funds here. So we're going to go to our next break. Our song is "It's Only a Weed" by Chief Greenbuds, and I'd like to thank all my sponsors: Remo Nutrients, MJ Creams, 12 High Chicks, Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana, Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Society, and Haley Rose Foundation.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
This is Bubbles from the trailer park, and they're playing some fucking excellent music on lifestyleradio.ca. I hope I didn't sound too nervous there.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Hello, Mr. Officer, and how are you this evening? You say that you're smelling something that you don't find very pleasing. Could it be the fact that I've been smoking weed? Yes, indeed. Yes, sir, Mr. Officer, I've got my hands behind me. Please don't use any more pepper spray, 'cause that last shot was blinding. I can't see, and it's getting hard to breathe. I'm in custody. Oh, it's only a weed. 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 It's only a weed. Hello, Mom and Dad, it seems I've got a little problem. The policeman thinks I'm dealing, and it's prison time he's talking. Could you please call an attorney just for me? I'm in need. Hey, public defender, when's my case going to trial? 'Cause I couldn't make my bond, and I've been in jail a while and lost my job. All for a quarter pound of pot, ain't that a crock? Oh, it's only a weed. Oh, it's only a weed. it's only a weed, it's only a weed. Well, prison life is really hard, but when they let us in the yard, there's a man named Bubba looking out for me. He says that I'm pretty cute, but I feel like I'm being used. There's just got to be a better way, 'cause I'm not gay. Hey, future employer man, there's something I must tell you, 'cause when you run all my numbers, well, you're gonna find my record I did time. Having marijuana is a crime. I wish they'd have an open mind. It's not a crime. Oh, it's only a weed. 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 It's only a weed.
And it's true. It is only a weed, and we are being persecuted and prosecuted still to this day for it. And, prohibition has not ended in Canada. For some patients, it has, if you're able to get a doctor to sign your legal paperwork. But then again, now, under the new regulations, too, some of them are hearing that they're capping at 3 to 5 grams, that people aren't getting, they're being told licensed producers only. The doctors aren't on board with this program, 90% of them anyways. And with Bob and Janice and Macro helping people in Edmonton and then being persecuted for doing that too after 12 years is appalling to me. I'd like to welcome Bob back, and I know that his co-founder of Macros is also in the background there, so say hello to Janice too as well, because we love her as well. But we'd like to really promote getting these people some help out there. They need some funding help, and I think for most of us that rely on the dispensaries, because let's face it, keeping pricing down, and that's one thing Macros really did, was they really tried to keep it patient-oriented, non-for-profit. So there's going to be a fundraiser in Edmonton on the 21st of January. The location's going to be not disclosed right away, just for the simple fact that I guess there are some people up there that just don't know how to mind their own business, I guess is how to, nicely put it. And welcome back, Bob. So we're going to get you to, promote a little more about what you've been doing, but also to go back to the fact that, you guys were doing this out of your home to begin with. You helped how many patients? 1,000?
When we opened up the storefront, we'd been doing it for about 4 years, and we had almost 300 members. And after we opened the storefront, in 4 years, it blossomed into over 1,000. So it was a really uplifting experience to see the number of people that were coming to us for help. Even in the Crown statement, when we were fined, he said that on 2 different occasions, undercovers were sent into our store and were unable to purchase for lack of documentation of their medical use. So that was one of the true statements that the Crown gave the judge about what we were doing, and apparently they weren't able to deceive us.
Well, no, because that's the way most medical dispensaries run. If you don't have the proper paperwork, and that's the best way. And I'm not going to say it's the best way, because right now we're running with the ones that are running 19 and over, as well as we have the ones that are running strictly medical. And I think that ultimately we need to push the envelope to a point, but I also don't want to push us back to the point where we're not going to be able to have dispensaries at all. So, that's another fight, another show, but there's so many, people out there that are really pushing the envelope right now. And that's a good thing for patients, but it's also, this licensed production. And I understand where they're coming from to a point, but there's so many other points. Like even with a story I know that Janice told me you guys were at a flea market and you had Rebecca Ambrose's grandfather or something. We want to kind of go over that story and maybe mention that to people, what he thought.
It was a trade show out at Vegreville, and we brought Hemper Fi's table out there because Vegreville was a real source for hemp before it was outlawed. The Slavic community that moved into the area after the Second World War brought hemp seed with them, and growing hemp for food and oil and medicine was part of their lives. And Miss Ambrose's father is, I believe, was from there, and he approached the table and introduced himself, and he said that they were hemp consumers, all their lives until the government told them they couldn't do it, and he agreed totally with medical cannabis, but I think, to paraphrase his statement, was Ms. Ambrose doesn't always speak what she believes. In other words, what she says is being controlled.
Yeah, and she was the health minister at the time of that, wasn't she? She was still the health minister, so that was kind of an eye-opener that she's maybe doing what she's told and not what she really believes, right?
Yeah, and the sad thing is that she was our MP and didn't try to help us at all. Basically, shunned us. I'm really saddened that elected representatives will ignore the plight of people that are being whose lives are being destroyed by the law.
Well, yeah, and they see us they don't see us as people. That's, I think, what's the hardest thing to kind of swallow, is that once you have that criminal record, they don't see you as people anymore. Whether it's for cannabis, which is a harmless, as anything, but once you have that record, they just don't see you as people anymore. And that's, I think, the most disheartening thing about cannabis. The only harm in cannabis is the fact that you can be charged for it and then not be seen even as a person anymore.
Yeah. And that's a sad thing, because part and parcel of our ability to make informed choices about our medical treatment, it seems like as soon as you mention that you're going to use cannabis, your competency as an adult Canadian citizen is put into question.
Absolutely. We don't have a brain in our head left or something, that we're not competent to complete anything any other Canadian's doing because we use pot. And I just think it's ridiculous, because it's okay for people to drink on a daily basis. Not that that's okay either, but I mean, people, accept alcohol as a legal, substance, and it's okay to have a beer every day after work, but God help you if you smoke a joint.
Exactly. Caffeine is one of the biggest addictions in the world right now, and God help us if all of a sudden coffee was cut out of our market.
Yeah, that would cause, I think, a great big turmoil. What would happen to the Timmys and all the Starbucks? Yeah. But that's the thing. If the police went in and started busting legitimate businesses, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a dispensary is a legitimate business. I don't care how you slice it, whether it's they're producing or illegal substance. It's still a business. You still put a lot of money and heart and soul into running that place. And whether you're a Tim Hortons or whether you're a dispensary, if they started running in and cutting down the Tim Hortons and locking those guys up, wouldn't the uproar? Could you imagine?
Exactly.
The whole country. There'd be riots over Timmy Hortons closures. But nobody does anything when they hurt us. It's like, oh well, they weren't supposed to be doing that anyway, so let's just close a blind eye to it. And that's not the way it should be, because I mean, money, livelihoods, jobs are lost. And people's lives are put into turmoil over nothing, really. And that's how I look at it. It's pointless. It's a waste of tax dollar, waste of your money. How much you've lost. Now you have to pay out in fines, and that victim service charge. Seriously, I'm still shaking my head.
Yeah, exactly. There's there's a problem with our society when majority of the people continue to allow the government to ride roughshod over our rights, and it's what they call tacit approval. If you don't say anything, then it's okay. And the sad thing is that being able to say something about it requires money, because that's the only place that the government seems to take any form of responsibility is in the courts. And taking down all these dispensaries, they've got unending pockets to continue to do that. But the people who are opening the dispensaries and running the dispensaries can't afford to continue to reopen. And it's basically logistics is going to win the war. It's all about how much can you afford to lose.
Exactly, and with them pushing licensed production and pushing the little guys out. I mean, how much can we afford to lose? Our health is our main concern. Like for 90% of us, is just keeping healthy. Never mind doing anything else on top of it.
Exactly.
And I mean, you and Jan, like, no disrespect, but you guys aren't young people anymore. You're both seniors. And for the police to come in and do what they did to you, I just still cannot get over that. Like, I just can't believe that they would persecute somebody into that degree over something that they have no understanding over. And that's, I think there should be, in criminal justice, there should be marijuana 101. For the police to be able to understand and really understand what the plant is. And they should have to take that in a criminal justice course. That's just my opinion. Doctors too. Marijuana 101. Like, why is there not something out there that they can be, instead of being fed a bunch of lies and propaganda?
Yeah, I agree. The priorities just seem to be... let's use our budgets up. Let's bust these people, and we'll let the judges kick it out of court. Basically, that's what we transferred with our case, is that the judge took a quick look at our file and told the Crown, "I do not want this in my docket. Get rid of it." And that's why they offered us that plea bargain.
Because the judges, I think, are sick and tired of hearing it. I think the judges are to the point where, didn't he say he was going to legalize this? Why is this crap still in front of me?
That's right.
And then they've got these young, zealous prosecutors that think if they can just get one more pot charge in before the end, it's just what it seems like. It's like I was reading the newspaper here or whatever last week too, and the only drug seizures they've had in the last, 26 days is one marijuana. And I'm thinking, why has that even been reported? Like, it's like ridiculous. Nothing else is going on in the whole town, but you've got marijuana being seized. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's appalling.
Yeah, there's all kinds of meth labs out west of where we live, supplying the oil patch out there, and they're busting disabled seniors.
Exactly. It's just ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Like, and that's the thing, like, they don't understand that meth that's going into the oil fields because it's out of your system. Like, that's another thing, drug testing in the oil fields. And living in Alberta, how many of those people, like, I think that's why one of the reasons why Alberta has been so staunchly against cannabis is because of the drug testing in the insurance companies. Oil field guys don't really, they do smoke it, and lots of them do smoke cannabis, but because it stays in your system for so long, it's hard to get rid of, right?
One of the biggest things that people would phone our store for would be drinks to remove evidence of cannabis consumption from the body. They'd come in and ask, "Do you have something so that I can pass my drug test?"
And what do you recommend?
Big business in Alberta.
What do you guys recommend as the best flush?
I've never investigated it because I didn't believe in it.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like we had to do that with Elvin. And we found that, trying to find something that was actually going to work. But we found that Stop Flush worked really well for him, right? And I mean, I'm just putting that out there. So for any of you oil field workers that need to go back to work, Stop Flush works. Well, thanks very much, Bob. We're going to wrap our show up. We're coming on to the hour mark, and I'd like to thank you for coming on and sharing all your, stories about with the police and Imperial Brands and having to go through court. Now, there is going to be a fundraiser again, people out there on January the 21st. Bob, can you give everybody your email address so that they can send email transfers? Because apparently GoFundMe will not allow them to set up a GoFundMe account because of the fact that it's for a cannabis fine related event. So email transfers are being accepted. Bob's got a savings account specifically set up for this. So Bob, you want to give out that email address?
Okay, it's quickstart49@gmail.com.
Quickstart49@gmail?
Yeah, QUITSTART49@gmail.com.
Alrighty then. So that's quickstart@gmail or quickstart49@gmail.com. And we're going to go out with Le Mosquito by Justice. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, who are 12 High Chicks Magazine, Remos Nutrients, MJ Creams, Americaners United for Medical Marijuana, Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society, Mary Jane's Alternatives, and Haley Rose Foundation. You guys all have a great week. I'll be on next week at 9 o'clock, and my next guest is the controversial and annoying Russell Barth. We're going to bring him on and have some fun and talk about politics. So we'll see you all next week. Have a great week.
Hey.
Have a great week.
Systems and
to the Pace Radio Show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoll-Skiffen, or Allison Merlin, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us